Hey everyone, I'm Kate Kennedy and I'm here with day 82 of 100 Days of Kane, PA. And the Holmes family has had two great businesses right here in Kane, the Holmes Poster Advertising Company and the Kane Family Drive-In. And today we're going to hear from Ann Chapman and Mary Holmes about some of the stories that they have to share about these family businesses. And I think you're in for a real treat. So I'm going to go ahead and flip you around. We'll go on in and say hello. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hi there.
I'm so excited that you guys are willing to talk with us today because both of these businesses are really special and have a great connection to your family. So we'll go ahead and start with you, Ann Holmes Chapman, to talk about the Holmes Poster Advertising Company. Could you start by sharing how that came to Kane?
Our company started with my grandfather, Fred Holmes. Fred was originally from Canada, and he decided in his early life that he wanted to do something else, and so he came to Kane, Pennsylvania, and he started the business with the Poster Company. The Billboard Company is a company that is in New York State plus in Pennsylvania, and when I grew up in the 50s, a lot of the stuff was done right there at our house on South Fraley Street. So it was a lot of fun. The people would come to do the billboard stuff, and so we got to know a lot of people that way even.
Sure, yeah. And so that's the thing I think is really interesting about this business is it was based in Kane, but there was a lot of travel through Western Pennsylvania and New York. What are
Right.
some of the things that, like some of the businesses that they worked with or some of the ways that they put the billboards up? Because it seems like it would also be a lot of hard work.
It was a lot of work. The paper would come in, and when the paper came in that they needed to put on the billboards, it came in 30 pieces of paper. And what had to be done with this paper? It had to be soaked in a soaking tank. And my father, he did a lot of that. He really enjoyed the company, and he would put the paper in this tank of water, and when he took it out of the tank of water, he would have to let it kind of drip off, and then the next day, the billboard people that would come to pick up the posters, they would also have to get this stuff called paste, and they even made their paste in the back garage at the house there. And they would take this and they would take it to where the billboards were, no matter, where they were, in New York State or Pennsylvania. And they would have to first go to the billboard, and they would scrape the paper off that was on the billboard, and then they would have to pick up this paper, and then they would have to get a long brush, and they would take the pieces of paper that had been soaked, and they would put it on a brush, and then have to put this brush up onto the billboard. I have one picture here that a couple pictures. This one shows when the paper was scraped off of the billboard.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And they had to use long brushes to do that. So it took a lot of work to get that off. And then here's one that shows one person standing there, and you can see the brush beside it, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And here's another one where you can see the brush.
Yeah, look at that. That's a lot of, it's a little bit different than how things are done today. So it would be like an all-day project to travel. And
It was an all-day project.
Mm-hmm.
And like today, they have big plastic things that they put over the billboard panels. So all this kind of stuff that they did back in the day when they were doing it at our house on Fraley Street, it's completely different.
Yeah. Did you ever get a chance to go out and see it in person?
Oh, when I was little, I used to go with my father. It was a fun day. We would spend the day doing the billboards, and I would help him pick up paper. And then the nice thing, when we always came back to Kane, we always went to Walker's Creamery, and we always had ice cream.
Oh.
But it was always a fun day.
So that was the treat at the end of a fun day was going to Walker's.
It was a treat.
Did you have something you'd always get there, or did you always get different things?
Oh, probably different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this billboard company was around for many years. When did it start?
It started in the 30s with my grandfather, and then eventually it was changed over to my uncle Lyle Holmes, and then my father Wayne Holmes, and then probably I think it was like about in the 1980s that the business was sold. There was a lot of stuff with highway beautification, and so the business started to get that it wasn't as good as it originally had been, and so it was sold to a company called Lamar. And you still see the billboards around. There's still several billboards around Kane that were originally owned by the Holmes Poster Advertising Company.
Oh, where are some of those?
On Biddle Street in Kane, you'll see some, and then there are some out by the hospital. Down in Warren, there are still some up there. Before you go over Glade Bridge, you'll see some of them.
So that's nice. Even though it's a business that your family sold long ago, you can still have reminders of what it was.
Right.
Driving through town.
Right.
That's so nice. Are there any other stories or memories that you want to share about this business?
Well, there was one memory that I have that when my sister Linda and I were with my father up on Biddle Street, and a train went by, and we were in the truck across from where the billboard was, and I can still remember feeling like we were moving in the truck, and it was a very scary situation, but that was one of the few bad memories of it.
You could feel the train when you were in the truck shaking it a little bit.
Right, and it felt like we were moving.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's really special that you have these great memories of going out with your dad, and that
It was very good memories.
Yeah, and that you can remember even when you pass by some of these billboards today, be reminded of those times with him.
Right, right.
That's wonderful. So in the early 1980s is when this was sold. Well, real quick, were there any local businesses that you remember that were on the billboards that at that time?
I can remember the Esso station that was up where the UK is now. They had a billboard, and then there were other places. I'm trying to think, like other businesses did have them too. Offhand, I really can't think of any now.
Some of them were national businesses.
Oh yeah, there were definitely national businesses. There were cigarette companies, beer companies, automobile companies. That was a big one.
Yeah, so I'm sure Zook's probably had some too.
Absolutely, they did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, so you had the big national companies, but then the local ones also were with your poster company as well. So
right.
That's really cool to get the best of both, really.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And then after this was sold, your husband,
Hi.
Gary Holmes.
Hello.
He had been working with the poster company, right?
Correct.
And then eventually bought the family drive-in,
Right.
Kane Family Drive-in.
Yep.
How did he first get interested in movies like that?
Well, he started out as a projectionist at the Temple Theater in Kane, and a little old Italian guy taught him how to run the projectors, and he did that every weekend for several years. And then he had the opportunity to work at the Family Drive-In, which his dad and uncle and Cliff Brown owned. Cliff Brown owned the Temple Theater at the time. And they would run the drive-in in the summer and the Temple Theater in the winter. So he always had a job as a projectionist. And then eventually in '83, he took over the Family Drive-In. He bought them out, and then he was the sole owner.
And how did you get involved? Like, were you working there from the beginning, or did you?
No, I came in '89. He owned it in '83, and the two people that ran the snack bar at the time had moved on and found other jobs, and I told my husband I would do it for 1 year, and 29 years later I was still doing it. And and it got to be where I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I was scared the first year because it was something new and I didn't know what I was doing. But after that, then I hired the girls, and it was more of a friendship type thing that you hired they asked if they could work there, and that's how that got started. And then eventually, a few of them that worked there, their daughters worked for me.
Oh, neat.
And,
that's cool.
yeah.
That you got to have different generations of the family come
And then,
through.
of course, their friends asked them if they could work there, and so that's how I hired. Most of my people were word of mouth from the girls that I started with.
Oh, how cool. So you got
Yeah.
really close with some of the people that
Right.
you worked with.
Yes, I did.
Tell us a little bit about that first year. What was that like for you at the snack bar at that time? And did you have any stories about that year?
Oh, it was, well, like I said, I was new there, and I had the one memory I remember is a bunch of boys that came in, a group of boys, and they terrorized me. I was new there. I didn't know what I was doing, and I would eventually go in the back room and cry.
Oh.
And then I said by the end of summer, I said, I'm not going to let them get to me anymore. And, they turned into the fun bunch.
Oh.
And I enjoyed them, and they came out several years.
That's
and
so
I
nice.
always enjoyed having them there.
That's really, really special.
Yeah.
I like that it turned around for you.
Yes.
It's a turning point.
Yes. And then it got to be where I knew so many people that would come out, our regulars. We called them regulars.
Uh-huh.
And we had one to this, up until my husband passed away. He was out there every Friday night for the 31 years that my husband and I owned it.
Is that right?
And when he got married, he told his wife if she didn't want to come out to the drive-in on Friday nights, that he would marry her. So apparently she said yes because they got married. And they were awesome. Both of them were awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really special that you
yeah.
had that kind of just it sounds like repeat customers, like
Yes,
you said, the regulars
yes.
that were really it's made a difference to them.
Oh,
that you were
definitely.
there.
And people that I didn't know, that would come in, but they'd come in almost every week from out of town even. Mm-hmm. And that's what they like doing, and they like coming out there, and they had their, they like the different food, and a lot of them would come out just for the popcorn. The popcorn was number one.
Mm-hmm.
And
how do you feel about popcorn?
I don't want to look at it anymore. Yeah, I made way too much. Yeah.
So we were talking earlier, and you mentioned that there are people from different places. So like in Johnsonburg at one point, there were people that had come in from...
Yes, the ones that came in, they were construction workers that built the addition onto the paper mill. And they came from the south and out west, Texas, Oklahoma. And it was our best summer ever because that was their entertainment, and they loved it.
They loved coming out.
And they would come out with their families, and they were very nice people, and we enjoyed having them out there.
And another group of people that was not necessarily from Kane that would come would be the campers.
Yes,
How
the
did you
campers.
reach them?
We reached them mostly by newspaper. Kane Republican at the time would give out free newspapers at the campgrounds, Cayuga, Red Bridge, Twin Lakes, and they would see the ads and they would come out, and it was fun for them because they had something to do at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so cool. I love that it was a draw for people from lots of different places.
And a lot of people, I always kidded my husband. He always said they came out for the movies. I said no, they always came out for the food. And a lot of my regulars, that's what they did come out for. They brought their kids out so they could see the movies, but they came in for the food.
Yes.
Yeah.
So your husband really was the one that kind of ran the movie piece, and you ran the snack bar.
Correct.
Piece.
Yes. Although he was good at making popcorn when I needed help.
Oh.
Yes.
Everyone kind of steps in when they need to, right?
Yep.
So how were the movies shown?
Well, they started out on a reel-to-reel projectors. There was 2 of them, and every 20 minutes you had to change projectors. And there would be nights, not a lot of them, but he would fall asleep, and he would be awoken by the horns honking from the cars, and he'd jump up and switch the projectors over. And then it got a little easier. It was called a platter system, and there were 3 platters, and both movies were run on the 3 platters every night. And then it got to the point where we ended up with the digital. That it all went digital, and earlier than that, they had gone to radio sound.
Oh, right.
And so there were no longer speakers.
Uh-huh.
And but the digital, he was just getting into that when he passed away.
Yeah. So in 31 years, you see a lot of changes like
Oh,
that
yes.
for the
Oh, yes.
movie
And a
part.
lot, I mean, it got easier.
Yeah.
There was a lot of work involved. And you had to go to St. Mary's to pick up the film.
Oh, my gosh.
And on Friday nights, his brother would go down to St. Mary's, and the people that owned the St. Mary's Theater at the time brought them up from Pittsburgh.
Oh my gosh.
And then he'd put the canisters in the car and bring them up, and it was a race against time to get those movies spliced together and on those projectors.
Wow. So it really was a big endeavor to get the movie
Oh yes.
to Kane.
Oh yes.
And so as much as you saw the movies change, did the snack bar change at all during that time?
A lot of new foods were involved. You know, we'd go to the food shows then, and we'd try to bring in something new. Snow cones are a big hit out there. Smoothies, we ended up getting smoothies. And, you know, like pizza logs, that was not at the beginning. You know, that was something new introduced. And so, yeah, and nachos and chips, that was a big one. And tacos. At one time, we had a taco bar.
Oh, geez.
And oh my, it was time consuming, but they loved them.
Yeah.
But then they came out with mini tacos that you could throw in the deep fryer.
Oh, that's
so
convenient.
yeah. So
well, and so you had to hire people to work at the snack bar, and
yes.
you had mentioned already that it kind of started to feel like a family. Do you have any stories to share about any of the times with the people at the snack bar?
Well, they were all very good, and they were all very good to us. And you know, one of the occasions was the one little worker that I had, she fell into the freezer because she was so short, and all we heard was this little "help me, help me."
Did you come up with a nickname for her?
Yes, we did. Her name was Tater Tot because she was so short. She wasn't a full-size French fry. She was a tater tot.
Oh my goodness.
She'll know who she is too.
How fun. That sounds like such a blast.
But they all got along. I mean, like I said, each one would say, "Oh, this is my friend, would you hire her?" And I would give them a probationary period, but at the last 8 years I had the same girls for 8 years.
Wow.
But they were all good. I mean, they all had their anything, the stuff that I would like, I liked, and we all got along and
really dedicated. You were even talking
Yes.
about one girl that came in a pinch on a big day for her.
Yeah, on her graduation night, her party, she came in because she knew I didn't have enough help, and she worked for me until the crunch was over, and then she went back to her party, and it was always, I still bring it up to her. She's just such a special little person.
Yeah. That is. I mean, that shows that it's not just about the job; it's about the relationship that you guys formed.
Right,
for sure.
and that particular group, those years, were so much fun too. I mean, they'd come in with stories about their parents and their dates and things like that. And of course, I apparently was the mother out there, so they'd tell me all this.
Yeah.
And then I'd go home and say, "Whew, I'm glad they're not my kids."
Aww.
So.
And what would you say was the most popular movie? Or one of the most popular ones.
One of the most popular was The Lion King, the original. Titanic was big. I had the one little girl that started out there her first year. I said, "Oh, the first weekend, we're never really super busy." And that was the year we got Titanic.
Oh.
And she didn't know which way to run.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, you learned, didn't you?"
Yep. Learning by jumping in the fire.
Yep. The Flintstones was a big one back then, and E.T. E.T. was a biggie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever run out of food?
Yes. It was a night. It was on the Flintstones. It was a Flintstones movie. By Sunday night of that week, there was nothing in the freezers. I was running all over town looking for food to sell out there.
Oh my gosh. So where did you go? What did you get?
Oh, we went to the Unimart to get the mozzarella cheese. We went to Quality. They were nice enough to sell me pizza crusts,
Wow.
French fries. It was the basics, boxes of hamburgers. And we made it through the night.
Yeah.
It was, we were tired by the end of that week.
Was that the only time that you ever got that low on food?
No, there were a lot of times we got low, but never completely
like
bad.
that.
Yeah,
So
it was amazing.
That's awesome. So the Flintstones was a hit.
Yes, it was. Yep.
Oh, well, that is so special. Those are some great memories, and I'm sure that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
Are there any other stories that you can think of that you want to share?
Just the people that came out that supported us. We always appreciated it, and we had like prize drawings on certain nights. We had radio nights out there where the radio station would come out and broadcast from there.
Oh, cool.
And we'd give out prizes, and then we incorporated the mini golf course out there too.
Yeah.
And that was a big hit. And we'd have prize papers, and if they got a hole in one or did something like that, they'd come in and get a snack for free, and the kids always loved that. So
it really was a family drive-in.
yes, it was
Something for everyone. There.
something for everyone. Yep.
Yeah, that's great. And it's so great that the Kane Family Drive-In is still around.
Oh yes, it is. I'm glad that the Watts family took over, and they seem to be doing a very good job of it, and they seem to like it too. Lowell really loves it.
Yes, yeah, they're doing
Yeah.
a great job too. And because you were telling me earlier the number of drive-ins, what it was and what it is.
Yeah, it started out with over 4,000 drive-ins when they first originally started. It's down to 348 now.
Yeah, and well, we're so grateful that when you decided to sell that, you decided to keep it
Yes.
a drive-in and sell it to someone committed to that.
Right,
as well.
and that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Him and his wife. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
Yep.
the Holmes family has definitely made an impact here in Kane. Do you guys have any other things that you want to share, or any memories or things that you wanted to say?
I think I've pretty much said all about the poster company.
Yeah, that's such a. I didn't know anything about that, so I'm so glad that you shared that story today.
Yeah.
And
Nice
I
to
love
share.
hearing the memories that you have of your 29 years
Yes,
at the drive-in.
yes. After that first year, I was going to be there.
Right. How it just rolled one into the next.
Right into the next. Yep.
Awesome.
For
Was there
sure.
anything else before we wrap up? Okay. Well, hey, thank you guys so much for your time, and thanks for bringing back some good memories for us all.
You're welcome. Okay.
And thank you guys all for tuning in. It's so fun to hear these stories and to hear how both of these businesses were not just impactful to the community, but they really were a family business, whether it was blood relatives or just the relationships that were formed on the job. So I know all of you guys have different memories of either the poster company or the drive-in, and we'd love to hear your stories. So please comment below and let us know what you loved about these companies. And thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow for day 83.